Play the football.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Roundtable Sports, fourth and forever. All right, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. EST, your daily NFL news show. And we love seeing all the familiar faces in the chat right now, guys. Please do us a favor. Hit that thumbs up sign. It's the easiest way to show love. Also, at the exact same time, please subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 20,000 subscribers. I think that we can get there soon. I really, really do, especially as the draft is right around the corner. Quite a bit of news that we need to unpack today, including some lingering free agents that are getting close to signing with some NFL organizations and some other tips, tricks, and rumors. Richie, how you doing? Talk to us.
I'm doing fantastic right now. Well, thanks for asking me, Dan Mitchell. Life is great right now on this side of things. I'm excited to keep going and keep grinding. And yeah, welcome to Fourth and Forever, everybody. Let's get straight into business. I'm Richie, your host on Fourth and Forever, and we're excited about it. We got TD Finstock, we got Dan Mitchell. It's your last episode of Fourth and Forever this week, and then we have a whole weekend off, and then we're back Monday, and then all of a sudden we're going to open our eyes, and it's going to be the month of April. Your boy's birthday's coming up. And when it's my birthday, that means it's draft season. That's why I love my birthday. All right, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Oh, you're joking your parents, bro. You're born April Fool's Day. Haven't heard that one before, chat. Be more original.
Richie, do you know what time you were born?
No, I actually don't.
Wow. You should find out, Richie. You got homework now.
Hey, we should find out. We should find out because
what does that have to do with anything?
I'm just curious. It's like
you
want to hear a funny story actually about that? You know my buddy Jack that you guys met?
Yeah.
His birthday's April 2nd. And the reason why he was born on April 2nd is because his mom was holding him in because she did not want to have him on April Fool's Day.
That's why I asked Richie. I'm like, you know what? We're going to look up and Richie
She did not want to have her son born on April Fool's Day. While I'm sitting here, my mom's like, nah, I don't care. I'm having my son on April Fool's Day. I mean, come on, man.
She did not want to give birth to a fool, man.
She did not want to give birth to a fool, but my mom didn't care. So here I am, folks.
Oh my God, TD, how you doing, man?
They all Jets fans. So hey, you know, I mean, come on, man. They're Jets fans. They already crazy for being Jets fans. So what's April 1st to them?
What is April 1st?
Don't let me go Connor Long on you and cook you like he did.
Connor ain't cooking nobody. I can't wait to see Connor again. Richie, you're gonna look up. You're gonna do your research, and you were born at 11:59 p.m.
At 11?
Nah, no, that's not true.
right beforehand would have been April 2nd, but here he is. But anyway, getting right to it, folks. I think we're finally starting to get some answers about Aaron Rodgers because today, as a matter of fact, just a couple of hours ago, he is at the Steelers facility. All right, this is from Jerry Dulac. He's meeting with the coaching staff. No deal is close at this time. But you know what? They're poking the bear. They're trying to figure it out. We all heard that the Minnesota Vikings were no longer interested in this potential acquisition, at least for the time being. But what do you make of this whole thing? Is this a sign that Rodgers is going to be donning the black and yellow in 2025? I'm starting off with TD on this one. What do you got?
Yeah, I'll say this. It's his only hope to continue to be viewed as a asset. I said it all along. Minnesota is priority. Pittsburgh is secondary. Outside of that, retire. That way you still have an opportunity to go out on top. People have difference of opinions. I had no problem with the football Aaron Rodgers played last year. I don't. I don't get, all the slander and stuff. Of course, the team success was terrible. And was he MVP Aaron Rodgers? No, he wasn't. But I thought that he played just fine, well enough. And I felt like as the season went on, he got better and better. So you might look up and the Pittsburgh Steelers get the better version of Aaron Rodgers because he's more ingratiated in playing football again. We keep forgetting that this man was out of football for a whole year due to a nasty injury in week 1 2 years ago. So Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
they need to prioritize this and get this done. And you can disagree with me all you want, but Aaron Rodgers is way better than Russell Wilson at this point.
Mm-hmm. No. I 110% agree with you. And
All Russ got is
I think
keep talking about.
so. I think it has a lot to do with the organization and the current culture or the culture over in New York. Because you know that Aaron Rodgers ended up finishing top 10 in overall touchdown passes last year, right? He was tied with Josh Allen, was better than Patrick Mahomes, had more passing touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes, more than Jordan Love, more than Jaden Daniels, more than Justin Herbert. It's not an Aaron Rodgers problem. I honestly believe that the Jets just made him look, or his perception, a hell of a lot worse than what it truly was. Richie, thoughts on Rodgers visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers? What is this telling you?
I think the injury also had a lot to say with his tenure with the Jets. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves.
True.
He had to get a whole first half of the season to start getting comfortable. And then when it was a little too late, the Jets team crumbled around him. A lot of other issues. I said even last year while he was on the Jets and we were in the middle of the season that I was feeling he's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler next year. If the Jets decide to move on from him, that just makes way too much sense because that's where he can go to finish off his career, have a winning season. And, I mean, it's guaranteed winning season with Pittsburgh. If they can do it with Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett and Fields and all these guys that have proven to not be good in this league, I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is excited about that idea, that potential. So that's something you got to consider. And I think that Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers is really interesting because you look at all the things that comes with Aaron Rodgers. It's a lot. And this is the original report from Jerry Dulac. So I think that the Steelers have a very interesting culture. And the question is he going to fit in with that? Because he likes to, I don't know how to say this. Because people think Rodgers wants this and stuff, but his name is talked about no matter what he does. It brings a lot of off-the-field things, whether he's trying to do it or not. He's just trying to live his life, but everyone likes to talk about his life. That's the thing about Aaron Rodgers. He just lives his life his way. He's 110% who he is. He's not afraid to be who he is. And the way he lives his life pisses a lot of people off, apparently. And I obviously lived through that as a Jets fan these last 2 years. Everyone talks about him. So I'm curious to see him potentially with the Steelers and how that impacts his overall ability on and off the field. So we'll see. I'm excited. I am an Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm obviously not rooting for him in Pittsburgh as a Jets fan, but, I would definitely like to see him succeed. I'm a fan of Aaron Rodgers, and we'll see if he goes there and they succeed. But do the Jets play the Steelers next year? I think they do. Jets schedule.
Sure, we all do.
I want to say that we play the AFC North as a division next year.
Oh, my God. The Jets are home against Pittsburgh. You already know. If he goes to Pittsburgh, you know what week 1 is. Monday Night Football, Jets-Steelers. Come on.
Jets-Steelers, Monday Night Football.
His first game as the Steelers at MetLife on Monday night. You know that's going to happen. Come on.
So here it is, right? Like, he is way further past his recovery from his recent injury. And like Richie just alluded to, he played a hell of a lot better toward the second half of the season. I kind of want to ask this question based off of y'all's predictions for the AFC North. Is there any part of you that puts the Steelers as the potential AFC North victors? Does Rodgers give them the best chance at potentially winning that division? Does Rodgers give them the best chance at potentially actually winning their first playoff game in quite some time? It's been rough over in Pittsburgh getting past the wild card round as of late. Does Aaron Rodgers make this team better than the Ravens, the Bengals, I think obviously the Browns? Go ahead. TD.
I think what it does is make the division more volatile where you don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, we could always continue to pick the Ravens, but everybody caught the Bengals being down. And if they are better, that shakes things up. Because here's the thing. Pittsburgh can always have an opportunity to win a division depending on how much everybody else beat up on each other. Because you could count on Pittsburgh to win 11, 12 games. For some reason, I still can't put my hand on it. but you can
Solid
count on them
defense.
to win, 11
Solid
to 12
defense.
games. So here's how I like to think of it. If the Bengals were just a little bit better last year and they won that shootout versus Baltimore, they won that game against Pittsburgh or whatever it may be, crazy enough, Pittsburgh might have actually won a division. But the Bengals were down. They didn't take care of business against Baltimore and stuff like that. So it just makes it that more volatile, and that's why you got to make a move for Aaron Rodgers to give you that chance. And let's not forget, this was with Russell Wilson. I don't care what anybody says. The Pittsburgh Steelers, if they sign Aaron Rodgers, they upgraded. Okay, he's old, we know it, but it's an upgrade over what they had. So yeah, I'm still gonna pick Baltimore to win the division. And if the Bengals get their act together on defense, I think that they're the shoe-in favorite. But I gotta wait to see the draft now to see how these teams fare out there.
Richie, thoughts on this, right? Because Pittsburgh obviously just ended up welcoming a DK Metcalf, have a George Pickens as well. They did say bye to Najee Harris. I'm very curious to see what they do at the running back position. Does Pittsburgh gain any respect from you as potential AFC North victors next year with Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback?
Yeah, I think they were right in the race to win it last year with Fields and Wilson. They added DK Metcalf. They lost Najee Harris. That's really the only other guy they missed out on. I think that Aaron Rodgers definitely improves their chances, but I still am really high in Baltimore, where, I think Baltimore's still going to win the division. I mean, nothing against the Steelers. I think they're going to get better, but I also think the Baltimore Ravens are just so good. I really do still believe that they're the front runners to win that division, and don't sleep on the Cincinnati Bengals. I know that everyone's counting them out again, but the only thing the Bengals got to figure out that people start to forget about is they just start off slow every year, and then they get picking up some steam at the end. If they can find the rhythm early on in the season, then they'll be able to potentially not only win the division but make the playoffs via wild card, of course, if their defense gets figured out. So I'm curious to see how it all looks. The Browns is not. I never was bought into the Browns last year. Definitely not going to be bought into the Browns again. This is a 3-team race. It used to be a 4-team race, people thought, but now it's a 3-team race. And if Rodgers lands in Pittsburgh, they definitely have a chance to win the division. I'm not going to rule that one out.
Mm-hmm. So a brief impromptu based off of a QB that was once at least rumored to be on a trade block. So we could just call this Richie's impromptu.
Richie's impromptu.
I'm sort of curious about this. We saw that the Atlanta Falcons, right, did ultimately end up eating Kirk Cousins' guaranteed money. And there's still rumors that he could potentially be shopped around, traded to a different team, right? And I look at a couple of different organizations that are in need of a QB. For example, the Browns, the Giants, etc. Is Kirk Cousins really just going to be riding the bench this year? Or do you think the Atlanta Falcons actually have a different plan for this guy? Richie.
Side note, real quick. Did you guys see the trailer for the new Netflix?
I did.
Did it get you?
It did get me.
The trailer for what?
You know the Netflix show,
For
quarterback,
Netflix
and then wide
quarterback.
receivers, and then season 3? Did you see the trailer?
No.
Go watch it right now.
Okay. All
And
right, I
then
will.
give me a reaction.
So
because-
it's called Quarterback's Trailer.
Well, no, I don't want to spoil what it is. I could send you it. TD. How about that? Because I think you deserve to look at, because they're doing something different. It's quarterback first, then it was wide receiver, and then they're doing a different.
Did it come out 2 days ago? The
Yes.
teaser. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out, Richie.
Yeah, watch it right now. It's just a minute.
I am.
Listen, so Kirk Cousins, I think him diving deep into what he's doing with the Atlanta Falcons shows he understands where he's at. He's self-aware of the whole notion that he is just not built to be a starting quarterback. He tried last year and failed, and I think that's really what it comes down to, Dan. If I'm you, I think you just got to look at it from that perspective. They are not built to win with Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins Should be happy that he's getting paid the amount of money he's getting paid and just ride off into the sunset and be happy that he made it. You know what I mean? I mean, that's how I look at it. If you're Kirk Cousins, you just got to be happy that you made that much money and just swallow that tough pill. I don't know if a team is going to be interested in trading for him either. He's coming off that, a season removed from the injury. So we shall see. We shall see.
We shall see about Kirk Cousins. TD, thoughts? Will Kirk Cousins remain on the Atlanta Falcons, or will they continue to move him around or potentially ship him off somewhere? Although that they already ate all of his guaranteed money just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, they're gonna ship him eventually. I mean, he's an asset right now. You got to get the most you can. Eating that $10 million ain't gonna be that big of a deal. I mean, they were gonna have dead cap if they were to release him, so he's still tradable. So they're just gonna see who misses out in the draft. That's what it comes down to. They have options, or hey, we keep him as our backup, and then we release him next year with no guarantees. All of that's possible, but right now there's like 4 or 5 teams that want a quarterback in the draft, and somebody's missing out like somebody misses out every year, or they settle with somebody they really didn't want, but they want to give a try. So he'll be, and then not to mention, oh man, this quarterback's out for the season, training camp or whatever it may be. Don't forget, we're just like 2 years removed from every year having a quarterback go out in the summer for some reason. I mean, there was a time that it feels like the last 2 years we really haven't had that, but there's been a time where every year in training camp or in the summer, some quarterback getting out the shower or anything, rip something or tear something, and they're going to be out. So, you hold on to that asset.
In the shower. Just getting in the shower. Oh,
well, that used to be the excuse. We know that when they were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, that the league, that used to be the shower excuse.
And just wanted to brush it under the rug.
Fins talk.
But hey, you know what, man? I could definitely see that.
No, I'm 20 seconds in, and then Dan said, TD, what you got on that? Oh.
It started off with mascots.
Click play.
No, I see it.
Yeah, it's mascots. You think it's going to be what they're doing this year is mascots. They went from quarterback to wide receivers to mascots.
Oh, wow.
You think that'll be entertaining?
No. It's not mascots, TD.
Sherry said, they don't even talk.
They don't even talk. What is this going to be?
You don't even talk, bro. Oh, man. Yeah, definitely go watch it, guys. The trailer's pretty good. They bamboozled us, but we shall see. We got another season of Kirk Cousins, Kirk O'Chains out there. You know what I mean? Joe Burrow.
Yeah, with Kirko, man. You know what? Like, we're going to see what it was like when he was benched. The whole 9.
But you know what? Quarterback part 1 is what gave me a bigger respect for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
You don't realize how many hits this man takes, and brutal ones that just be icing at the end of the week. Like, the refs let people play on with Kirk. They let he let that ball go and get whacked so many times, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, boy, if they push to it, that'll be a flag. Like, they do not protect Kirk Cousins like that. And he's endured a lot. I respect Kirk Cousins.
You respect him because
Kirk Cousins, man, he plays some grown man football out there.
I have another impromptu.
Talk to me, Richie. I love your impromptus, man.
So it just goes to show you what fan bases around the league looks at the wide receiver position. You know how they look at it. So there was this podcast that I watched, and I sent TD the clip. I don't know if he watched it or not and realized why I sent it to him. And
oh my gosh,
what I sent to him was a podcast of, they did a game, right, Dan? And it was T. Higgins, and then they brought up all these receivers on the league. Who would you take, T. Higgins or this receiver, right? So they would keep listing receivers, and they would say either T. Higgins or that receiver. So they had an interesting game, and I think that's a fun game we can play. But the first receiver that was brought up was Garrett Wilson. And all of them unanimously like, I'll take Garrett Wilson easily. Garrett Wilson over T. Higgins. Garrett Wilson. And then they go and they say Jalen Waddle. And they're like, T. Higgins over Jalen Waddle. I mean, what are we talking about? And I just thought it was so funny because everybody but TD Finstock thinks Jalen Waddle is this like elite level receiver. But when you have unbiased NFL fans realize that Jalen Waddle is a nobody in this league. Come on, TD.
That's why this show is better than that one, Richie. Because we know better.
Come on, bro. Everybody knows that's a big show.
But here's the thing: I would take T. Higgins over Waddle right now as well, because it's a different kind of receiver.
Well,
I would take the big body receiver. I think T. Higgins is a bigger frame and everything. But Garrett Wilson, Garrett Wilson's on top of the world right now. Everybody's loving what Garrett Wilson's doing. But the problem with Garrett Wilson, they get all hyped because of a one-handed catch. That's what people do. It's okay, man.
I just wanted to remind you what the narrative is, that if you
let's see what Garrett Wilson does this year. Let's see what he does this year.
If you ask 100 NFL fans, Garrett Wilson or Jalen Waddle, 95 of them will say Wilson, and the other 5 will be Dolphins fans that pick Waddle.
I mean, I would pick. I mean, they're tied. That's just next subject.
Almost got there. All right.
Next subject, man. You know what? Speaking of quarterbacks, right? Because this has been the first couple of topics on the show already, but it's the elephant in the room, and it just so happens to be Brock Purdy. All right? They have been, quote unquote, discussing a contract extension for this guy. And we just saw Josh Allen become the highest paid quarterback in the NFL with fully guaranteed money, which is absolutely insane. But Dak Prescott still sits there at about $60 million per year. Now, we have to ask ourselves this, and not whether or not that Brock Purdy deserves this sort of money, but whether or not we think the 49ers are going to give him this sort of money. And we are talking about a 21 to 25% of the team's overall cap and anywhere between $55 and $65 million per year. What does a Brock Purdy contract look like in your eyes coming from a San Francisco 49er front office perspective? Richie, what do you got? Talk to us.
I just don't get it, man. If they went out there and signed Brock Purdy to this type of contract, dude, they're already in misery. They already are regretting all the contracts they handed out last year. Look at them trying to backpedal, potentially trade Ayuk. They already traded away, of course, Debo Samuel. They're in cap misery right now. I just don't see a world where they're going to go out there and do this properly. So, yeah, that's how I look at it. I really don't see a world where the Niners do this. I mean, this is what he wants. Is it what's the report again? Is this speculation? Is there actually something behind this? No,
well, right? No, I think that it really just comes
that's what
down
the market
into the market.
says.
Yeah, it's what the market says, right? Like just last year when all of us were shocked that the Jacksonville Jaguars at one point made Trevor Lawrence the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. We were all sitting around being like, what the hell were these guys thinking about this? I feel like we see it every single offseason, a QB that doesn't necessarily get paid for what their true value is, but what the market is at is largely what they end up matching. I would love to see the San Francisco 49ers. Here's my thing. Say that I'm in that front office, I am making him play through his rookie contract. I am making him play his final year on his rookie deal right now. And if he can go out there and prove, because he's never been able to prove this, that he could actually carry this team with lackluster weapons, nowhere near to what he had his first couple of years in the league, sure, whatever. Then I'll go ahead and I'll find this man a deal. But if San Francisco is smart, they make him pay his final year of his rookie contract and revisit it next year. TD, thoughts?
Yeah, they're not going to. They're going to pay him, and they're going to do what everybody else does and just pay the quarterback. It's the most, I'm going to be honest, it's like this is the one area where I feel like the NFL is never criticized by ignorance and stupidity. This is the one area that nobody criticizes, the stupidity. They just go along with it and say, I mean, what are you going to do? Let them go? It's not working. Who is it working for? Unless you, now, let me back up. Unless you are an elite quarterback, Purdy is not elite. Purdy is not great. Purdy is not even really good. He's good. He's just like Tua and all of them, in my opinion, at this point. Good enough not to be good enough. And you know the indicator? You've already had 2 sample sizes of when some of the weapons went out, and he was horrible in both. 2 years ago, the weapons went out for 3 games. He was terrible. Last year, he had a stint where the weapons went out, and he wasn't great either. Now, I understand people will say, well, everybody need weapons. Well, come on, man. Even when 1 or 2 weapons went out, they had enough on offense just like Jaden Daniels did and what Jaden Daniels doing. Looking way better than Purdy in that situation. So that's all I'm saying here. Like, you only pay guys who can do more with less so that when their salary starts to make you have less, you can still win games. And then you wonder why you're in constant purgatory and trying to figure out the cap hell every year because you're paying these, man, it's the most. And this started out with Russell Wilson. This is where I started my own quarterback study. It started with Russell Wilson when they moved on from the Legion of Boom, when they moved on from beast mode. And I told everybody, now let's see who Russell Wilson is. It never got past the second round ever since. Never got past the second round ever since. And this is the problem in the NFL, but they're going to continue to do this foolishness and keep driving the market even higher. That's the crazy part. They're driving the market higher and higher and higher. Right now, quarterbacks are getting 21 to 25%. 10 years ago, before that whole rookie contract debacle, it used to be between 9 and 15%. Don't worry. I give it another 6 years, and quarterbacks are going to account for about 30% of the cap. And then teams are really going to start to feel the impact of the difference. It's not all about the salary cap going up when they're still in the bigger piece of the increase every year. That's the problem.
See, if you're a quarterback that's taken up anywhere over 20% of the team's cap space, I feel like you need to be at least 85% of the reason for your success. I think that's a good way of looking at it. Have to be the largest contributor to why you guys are consistently successful. And I'm not seeing that with Brock Purdy, but I do agree. Look, as much as I would love to talk some sense into them and say, let him play out his final year of the deal. If what happens, which I am predicting is going to happen, this 49ers team is going to struggle because Brock does not have this elite cast of a supporting cast around him. Whatever. Let him walk in free agency and figure it out. What's up, TD?
A little bit more proof. People need to start studying the NFL. Here's a little more proof. What's been the difference between Purdy and Jimmy G from a team success level?
0.
Mike Tomlin can go through 50 quarterbacks and still have the same level of success. When they're not elite, of course, right? But this is the point. Like, the evidence is around you, but we ignore it. These quarterbacks that don't move the needle, they can be replaced. You're about to spend $55 million on a guy when, if you want to be honest, you might go get a $20 million guy to do the same thing and have another $35 million to load the roster again. Like, yeah, man. And you know what? I'm going to say something bold here, and Richie, don't get all excited, okay? I think Justin Fields can do the exact same thing Purdy can do in San Francisco.
Yeah, dude.
I think Justin Fields can do exactly what Purdy can do.
I would say
if not more.
I would say right now that, like, you reflect on the Super Bowl years for San Francisco / the years where they made it to bare minimum the NFC Championship. I think almost every single starting quarterback in the league during that year could have done the same thing, maybe outside of like 4 or 5. Maybe outside of 4 or 5. I'm talking so the middest of the mid, like, would be able to have brought the San Francisco 49ers exactly as far as they have in the past.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm trying to think of a quarterback that wouldn't have been able to bring them that far. I feel like Russ could have did it. I feel like Russ could have did it. I think Tua could have did it.
Yeah, you
I
might
think
be right.
Tua probably could have
Yeah.
did it. Right? And we all know Zach Wilson. I'm not sure about Zach Wilson. I'm not sure.
You
about Zach Wilson.
never know, Dan.
But you don't know.
All these jet sweeps handed off to McCaffrey. I mean, you never know. It's not like Purdy not throwing crosses to wide open guys a lot. You never know, man. I just think this is a waste of money. This is a waste of money. They're not making the best decisions for the organization, and it ain't working. So people who argue with me, show me where it's working.
Oh man, if Shanahan wants to keep his job, I would say that he keeps it far away from Brock Purdy and makes him play one more year as a little reset, and then bring in Arch Manning the following year. That's what you do.
What if Arch Manning is a bust?
I honestly don't think that's possible, Richie.
Why though, Dan? You know, I've been meaning to ask you that.
It's Arch.
Because you've
Arch
been
Manning.
riding. I think you're riding off the name.
It's the bloodline. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, I do always find that cringy when people automatically look at a guy who oh my God, he's fourth cousins through marriage to Dan Marino. He must
doing
be
that
insane.
That's what you're doing.
You're cringing to yourself?
But this Manning, though, huh?
Yes,
It's
I am
Manning,
typically. Normally I would, but
you keep saying, "Yo, pass." Just don't go into the quarterback room this year. Draft this year. Next year is where Arch Manning is. Tank for Arch. Tank for Arch. Tank for Arch.
I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, and I did very much enjoy how he played in Texas. He's better than Quinn Ewers. He probably should have been starting over Quinn Ewers last year, but that is what it is. Is what it is. And they probably would have been national champions if Arch was starting that game. But we will see. I actually look forward to watching Arch Manning play football this year for the University of Texas.
That's why Bronny James should have went first overall. You see Bronny James last night, TD? Come on.
Oh, my God, Richie. You better never die on that hill.
What do you mean, bro? He's proven that I was wrong. You saw him last night.
Bronny James is doing his thing, huh?
Oh, my God. And Dan, don't even get in that conversation, Dan.
He was
I can't believe Richie even mentioned that.
I'm not particularly...
don't, Dan. You ain't missing out on nothing.
I'm not very well versed.
It's all right. TD doesn't
know
know
the situation,
so
but
it's not fair.
So we had a recent free agency acquisition occur prior to the show, and this right here, I would say, is a slept-on wide receiver. He's wildly productive. Nobody ever talks about him. He guarantees you at least 800 to 900 yards, bare minimum, every single season. Brandin Cooks, all right? I want to say that he collects NFL teams like Thanos collects Infinity Stones. This guy has been on virtually every single team in the NFL, I am convinced. But he is now a New Orleans Saint, and I'm kind of pulling up the Saints overall roster because what they had to do, and so I'm also convinced that somehow, so they're running some sort of Ponzi scheme when it comes into their cap because for some reason they always are able to bring in new players. Although that at the beginning of the offseason, we see that they're far into the negatives, minus 70 million every single point. But somehow, not only are they cap compliant, but they also were able to sign a couple of players by itself. When I look at the New Orleans Saints roster, have Derek Carr as the QB, obviously. And then wide receivers, you do have Olave, who we thought was going to be a trade target. Doesn't appear to be the case. Have Rashid Shaheed, who had a hell of a season. And then now you're adding Brandin Cooks into the equation. And then obviously you have an Alvin Kamara, semi-decent, so I'd say offensive line. And the defense probably could add a couple of more talented players in the NFL draft. Expectations for the Saints and further thoughts on the Brandin Cooks edition. TD.
Listen, the Saints are going to Saint right now. That's another team nobody pays attention to. Look at the cap trouble they've had over the last 3 years. And everybody's like, well, the Saints get out of cap trouble every year, but the collective of the entire team continues to regress every single year. And what they really need to do is just trade and cut everybody take 1 year of just sitting down and rebuild your team. So, yeah, every year they make a move like Cooks or whatever it may be. This team isn't going to be winning the division. Yeah, they'll have some moments where they're competing because, NFL teams compete. That's what they do. But at the end of the day, the Saints are just in trouble. Good pickup on Cooks, though. I would have liked to see Cooks go to an actual contender. Like a actual contender, though, utilize that value and keep your stock high as you continue to get older. So, but he didn't. He went with the Saints, and good for them, and good luck in New Orleans. But that team isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
It's going to be a while. And who knows? Maybe they even target a quarterback this year in the draft. Could be a shocker there. Richie, thoughts? What do you got?
Bro. Yeah, I think the New Orleans Saints are such a... This tells me... Here we go, Jets fans. Could Chris Olave be on the trade block now?
Oh.
Because every Jets fan wants to go after Chris Olave to complete the Ohio State Buckeye trio.
Oh, wow.
Can't miss out on Jeremy Ruckert and the center. But listen, bro, I mean, Chris Olave.
It's a dream right there.
The Jets need a wide receiver number 2, and why not go after the former first-round pick and college teammate of Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields and Chris Olave? Now, he is a concussion away from becoming Tua. So that's the one thing that I'm hesitant about Chris Olave. He may already be Tua. But you look at the Saints, obviously they have some wide receivers. I don't think this actually means that Chris Olave is on the trade block, but you never know, man. It's a feel-good story. And I feel like Derek Carr is going to be their bridge quarterback, and they got to figure out who their future is with Kellen Moore out there at head coach. Because you know who's rumored, talk about Jackson Dart. The Saints are rumored to be interested in him, drafting him at number 9.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people bring up Jackson Dart's name with the Saints at pick number 9.
So I keep telling people,
I think
man,
Dart
these
at 9
quarterbacks
makes
are
sense for
gonna
them,
go.
too. Let him
Dart at 9.
Derek Carr.
Dart.
Not at the Jets.
Well, what would happen to Spencer Rat-a-tat-tat, though?
Oh, rat-tat-tat is...
Yeah, Spencer Rat-a-tat-tat, man.
The Texans get their replacement left tackle.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that.
They did. We did not talk about that. And that is an absolute...
Trent Brown.
What?
Trent Brown to the Texans.
Recently?
Yeah. Just now. 1 year, $3 million deal. Trent Brown signs with the Texans.
Have an offensive tackle, Trent Brown, but then, so they also ended up adding, oh, wow, look at that. Look at that. So I thought they also ended up bringing in another tackle as well, which is supposed to be a Laramie Tunsil replacement. It was Cam Robinson. So they bring in Cam Robinson, and then now they ultimately end up bringing in Cam Brown. Trent Brown.
I must have missed that. When did they bring in Cam?
Yesterday, I believe. Yeah,
Didn't
yesterday or 2 days ago. And look, listen, I applaud the Houston Texans. I really do, because now I think, especially Richie and I, we were just sort of like preying on the downfall of CJ Stroud for some reason. I don't know why.
You were too?
Richie particularly.
I didn't know you were. I thought I was just me.
Well, so I thought that his interceptions would climb. By the way, I was right about that.
I just wasn't bought in. Like, TD was like, oh, dude, this CJ Stroud guy is the next. And now he lashed on to Jaden Daniels because he was wrong about CJ Stroud. Like, come on.
How was I wrong about CJ Stroud? He's still that dude.
Yeah, he's still that dude, bro. Ooh, watch out for CJ Stroud, man.
Yeah, you better watch out for him. He's still a great quarterback.
Richie. 0-2 against the Jets. Terrible line. Oh, terrible.
Oh, my God.
So one thing...
You guys thought I was nuts by saying the Jets going to beat him again. We stomped them like I told you guys we would.
Now, but one thing I do applaud the Houston Texans for their offseason. Like, they have had a very quiet, very good offseason this year, because my biggest gripe against them is that, especially earlier in free agency, they just completely ignored the offensive line. And then they ended up shipping Laramie Tunsil away. And I was like, okay, like, what exactly are you trying to prove over here, folks? Right? Like, are you trying to have CJ Stroud sack the most out of any quarterback in NFL history? But Sounds like that they have been addressing the trenches. I do like both of those signings and at pretty reasonable rates. Shout out to the Texans, man.
And you know what? I was wrong last year, but maybe I was just a year too early. Come on, Cameron. Duval. I got the Jaguars in this year
Here
again,
you
bro.
go again.
I
And
was
by the
wrong
way,
last year, a year too early.
And by the way,
I was just a
let's
year
get
too early, bro.
let's get something straight here. Did CJ Stroud go to the playoffs?
Yeah.
And what did he do anything in the first round?
Yeah, he's way better than Tua.
It's all that mattered. He actually did do what he needed to do last year. He didn't fall off. He still led his team
He
to a
beat the
playoff
overrated
win.
Chargers.
And he played at
That's
a
what he
high
beat?
level.
He
It
beat
was
a-
no. Now the Chargers are overrated.
Yeah.
Man, they won 12 games. Richie,
Who the Chargers?
the Chargers were a great team this year.
They were a
They
great
were a
team
great
last
team.
year. I thought the
Great.
Chargers ended up exceeding expectations.
The
Richie
Jaguars
wants
beat the
to
Chargers in the
diminish that.
playoffs too.
Richie wants to diminish that to try and bring less value to CJ Stroud's season. He still had a successful season. Led his team to the playoffs and won another playoff game.
Led his team to the playoffs. I won't go that far. Their
Yeah,
That
defense,
defense
I mean-
was crispy.
their defense.
Yeah, the
was a big
defense,
reason why they
but
went to
who showed up in the playoff game? Who
Not
was
CJ
that dude
Stroud.
in the playoff game? Yes, he did.
He threw 2 ducks in the first quarter, and then he's like, "All right, I'll
Oh.
start to play good football." And then
Okay.
the Chargers started to just make mistakes, and then he took advantage.
Richie, when you have your eyes set on hating a player, you hate him.
I ain't
boy.
hating, bro. Let's keep it above,
Yeah, you a Stroud
bro. Jaden
hater,
Daniels
man.
is that dude. CJ Stroud, we got the better Ohio State quarterback over here.
That's what it's about. Oh
Have the
my
better-
god.
Have the better Ohio State QB rate
It's
in
not. He not, by the
Jets land. All right, listen. Last
Fields
topic.
is going to prove to be better than CJ Stroud this year. How about that?
way. Cap.
So last topic of the day, which I always find interesting. Like, we know that this entire company has been built off of division rivalries, right? And that's a beautiful thing. I love it, right? But several divisions have had the same division winner for years, it seems. So I think my question for you guys is that are there any teams that stand out to you as the new division champs? Ones that are
Great
going
question.
to dethrone the previous. I'm going to start off with a couple. I happen to believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers will win the AFC North this year. If Aaron Rodgers is the QB, I'm very high on the team. I love their defense. Love the DK move. I think that they need to address their offensive line a tad. Pittsburgh Steelers, AFC North division champions.
Yeah, why do you hate Baltimore that much, man?
Listen, I hate Cincinnati way more.
I was about to say he hates Cincinnati.
Yeah,
I
I'm
hate
shocked you didn't
Cincinnati
say
way
that.
more than Baltimore. Trust me, man. There are levels to my hate. All right, man. But no,
What
I
do
am
the
gonna
Steelers got to
go-
do for them to be like hated, like beat you guys in the playoffs or something?
Yeah, and that's exactly why I no longer hate the Ravens.
Because you finally beat them.
No, we're 2-0 against that fool in the playoffs, man.
Well, actually, they beat.
Ravens.
They beat themselves. But okay.
Uh-huh. And show me where that is in the win-loss column. Anyway. anyway.
Mark Andrews, man.
And so I know that TD's going to hate me for this one. God, I know TD's going to hate me on this
Wow.
one. But dude, I am hopping all over the bandwagon on this one, baby.
I am with you. I know where
The
you're going.
Carolina Panthers.
Yeah!
Yes!
Woo!
Yes!
Bryce Young breakout
Keep
season. Buy
pounding.
stock.
Wait,
in
wait,
Bryce
wait,
Young.
wait, wait, wait.
Keep
Over who?
pounding,
Who's in the
baby.
division again?
Give
Who's
me
in
the
division?
Carolina Panthers in the NFC South.
The Saints.
Who all in
the
that
Bucks,
division again? Okay, the Saints.
Falcons.
Bucks and Falcons.
By the way, folks, TD owns a company about division coverage. He still doesn't know any of these divisions off the top of his head.
I do.
Wait, who's in that
Division?
division again?
Listen,
what
is
division
that not
Richie,
one
I
of the
got
most?
6 kids. That's no
Is that
excuse.
not-
Learn their divisions.
Is that not one of the most irrelevant divisions in football?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why.
So
I
that's
don't
why
be
it's fun. It's
remembering, man.
fun, man. We
but
want
that's
them
why
to
it's
be
gonna be-
relevant.
If the Panthers win the division, that's not a sleep fest. That's a entertaining.
No, not at
Dave
all.
Canales.
I'm trying to think. So the AFC South, I still think the Texans will ultimately end up winning
I got
that
Duval,
one.
baby.
You have Duval coming back.
Duval.
Duval.
It was a coaching
Actually, all
problem.
right,
Now
Okay.
they
all
got
right.
the coach.
I got my change. I know which ones
Stop.
let me
TD.
pick
Just
something.
stop.
There.
Just stop.
Go ahead. Pick one.
TD,
Go ahead.
stop.
I'm gonna
Stop.
pick a few.
Don't you dare say it.
I think the Chargers are gonna win their division this year.
Oh, I was gonna say that too.
That's one. Richie want to say Denver, but I think the Chargers are gonna win their division. I think Minnesota's gonna win their division.
With JJ,
Right? Yeah. I just think the Lions about to have a little slight fall off.
Nah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say another one. I think the Commanders gonna win their division. Yeah, I think the Commanders can really win that division. And last but not least,
Don't say it.
it's the Miami Dolphins time, baby.
See,
It's finally our time to get over
like
that
your own
Bills
fan
hump.
base knows. TD, don't pick
No,
Dolphins.
this ain't
be
about
tanking.
me being a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, it is.
But the Bills, man, they've been very lucky. The Bills been very lucky.
This is all
What do
about
you
you
mean?
being a Miami Dolphins fan.
They've been
bro.
lucky. Like
They've been lucky.
the only reason the Bills been winning the division is because Miami been getting hurt.
For 5 years straight.
But yeah, we've had two
That sounds
get
like a
hurt
you
for 5
problem,
years
bro.
straight. Hey, that's the only reason.
Man, you got to
Bad
stop.
luck
Come on,
right
man.
there, man.
I mean, you got to
Listen.
think about it though, Richie. Like 2 years ago, it was like at the last week they eclipsed us. The year before that, the same thing. We had a major collapse and they had a major comeback. We've been actually like almost every year except last year, we've been owning the division and then an injury, and next thing you know, Bills catch up, we fall. Like there was one point it felt like we had 11 wins like before the last 5 weeks or something, and we end up losing the division. Y'all know we right there, man. Just stay healthy and Bills are done. We're gonna win the division.
Yeah, but according to you,
So we're
you're gonna
talking
win
like-
the division, not going to home.
So
playoff.
literally, I would say, so the worst roster, right, in the AFC East, I'd say compared to everybody right now.
Oh my gosh. Here
Worst
we go.
roster, I'd say, probably has to go to
Buffalo
the Miami
Bills.
Dolphins.
No, it's actually Buffalo. That's why it's a little impressive.
No.
Y'all
Last year we had the
actually-
worst roster, and we still ended up walking away.
Yeah, that's
it.
true. But you still got the worst roster, actually. I
No,
think
they don't.
Buffalo actually got the worst roster in the division.
No, they
Oh,
don't.
you're out of your mind, bro.
Dude, why do we feel like the Patriots just solved everything? Their roster's still the
Oh,
worst.
here come the Patriots hate again.
There's no-
Listen, Richie.
They have no
Richie,
talent, bro. Carlton
they-
Davis? Whoa, dude. They got Carlton Davis. Like, what are we
Hey,
talking
you wanted
about?
Carlton Davis in free agency, didn't you?
Yeah, but I wouldn't be hyping him
Yeah, I
up as
did.
like now everything's like their
Richie
talent
don't
is
want to
bad.
be in the basement, and so he hating on the
nothing about
Patriots.
that,
Every
dude.
show.
The Bills are not less talented than the Patriots. The Dolphins are more talented than the Patriots. From a roster
And
on
the
paper,
Jets.
on paper,
And the Jets. We're the most talented team on paper.
yeah, congrats, you are. That wins you nothing.
I know. That's why it's on paper.
But the Patriots are still they need this season and next offseason to start saying they have a talented roster.
All right.
I
So,
don't
Richie,
know, man.
so outside of the Carolina Panthers winning the NFC South, what else do you got? Who are some new division champions in 2025? Talk to us.
I got a bold one.
Ooh, I love bold.
It's a bold one.
I love.
Yeah, brother.
Seattle
Yeah.
Seahawks, baby, winning the
Oh!
NFC West. Woo-hoo. Cooper Kupp stays healthy. Give me that day, yeah. Like that one.
Hold on. Who over there? Seattle,
I love
San
that.
Francisco, Arizona, and I'm missing one.
The Rams.
Rams.
Yeah, man. I
So you
really
got
like Sam,
them-
bro.
Oh my! See, this
Cooper
is
Kupp
just a
edition,
homer,
bro.
but that's a homer pick, Richie. 'cause
No,
you
bro,
like
that's
Sam.
Cooper Kupp going home and knowing JSN and those boys, Noah Fant, Kenneth
So
Walker.
you don't like the Rams still?
I like the Rams. I think they're going to be the 5th seed. I think they'll be the first wild card. I think it's going to be like they have the same record. I think it's going to be neck and neck. Like I think it's going to be like they both have the same amount of wins, just they get the tiebreaker or something like that, man. The Rams are the favorites. They should be the favorites, and I'm not sleeping on the Rams. I think the Rams can make the playoffs as a wild card team and still make the Super Bowl. That's how good they are in the playoffs. I just like Seattle, man. I think everyone's going to discredit them, just like they discredited Minnesota. And watch this. Everyone's going to do the same thing as last year. Oh, Sam's a starting quarterback for Minnesota. The Vikings going to stink. And then 10 weeks in, we got people like TD hopping on the bandwagon. Oh, look at the Vikings. Oh, the Vikings. didn't do
Oh
all
my
these
God! I
things, man.
didn't hop on the
Yeah, you did.
bandwagon.
You
I
gave the
was
Vikings
on.
no chance with Sam Darnold as a starting quarterback. All you guys gave no
that's
shot.
Not true.
That is so true. And you guys,
That's
and what did you say last year when I said watch out for the Vikings? Oh, Richie, this is a homer pick. It's the same thing all over again. Okay? So watch out. You're going to hop on the Seattle Seahawks bandwagon, just like you did last year with Minnesota when they're 10-3, and Sam's doing his thing. All right? So that's my pick. Seattle Seahawks in the NFC.
You're going to watch every game, ain't you, Richie?
Of course, man. You see Sam Darnold move that pocket?
Damn.
When it comes to the AFC, I would say the Jaguars. I like that Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars to figure themselves out.
You're never going to get over that, Richie.
Whoa.
Trevor Lawrence
Brian
is
Thomas
so
is a
mid.
#1
That's the
receiver.
problem. Trevor Lawrence is the problem.
CJ Stroud and Trevor Lawrence, same category.
CJ Stroud is better than Trevor Lawrence. Stop.
Yeah, he's better.
Okay, that's what matters.
But they're both in that Tua tag of a Tua's a little bit low.
no, that's not what Trevor Lawrence is.
No, Trevor Lawrence is better than Tua. Let's be honest with ourselves.
They the same. They two in the same.
They have the same feel because they both
Yeah,
can't
he's
stay
right-handed Tua. He's right-handed Tua.
healthy. He is right-handed Tua if you think about it.
That's really what he is. He's right-handed Tua,
How
man.
does it feel to have Tua as your starting quarterback? Like that, like you see him out there in clubs, like, oh man. All right, let's get into
Richie.
this
Don't
topic.
start this.
The worst free agency signings.
The worst free agency signings.
Well, the first one, look at. I mean, Cameron gave us some little teasers. Javon Kinlaw, front and center on the graphic.
He does not like Javon Kinlaw, does he?
I mean, bro, the contract that he got still blows my mind. $45 million, $30 million guaranteed for a guy who's a bum. I mean, they're banking on upside. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
For me, I think it's pretty clear. I think it was T. Higgins for the Cincinnati Bengals.
did you see the contract, Dan?
I did see the contract.
It's actually friendly.
Yeah,
for
it's
the
the most
team.
team-friendly deal I've
It's-
ever seen.
So it's almost to a point where, like, I was kind of wondering if he had his agent, like, even look over it.
Well, yeah, it benefits him though in this way. It benefits both parties. They can get out of it, and if they do, he basically got $35 million for 1 year.
Yeah.
And then
So
you get
it's a
another pay
win-win.
increase.
Which would incentivize them to at least keep him 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah. It's like something like that. It's no guarantees in 2025, except for 5 days after. It's like 10 million. It's really difficult to wrap your head around. Say that he's on the roster, then all of that, I think, is based off of roster bonuses for dressing for each and every single game. But, like, I sort of looked at it, at least from the first couple of years, and I'm just like, dude, like, so you, like, pulled that entire, like, hissy fit really only for, like, $6 or $7 million more guaranteed on the first year, where you would have walked away with $28 million guaranteed, whatever, right on the franchise tag after the case. I mean, y'all know my thoughts on that overall situation. So I think with the Bengals, they could have very easily went out and, like, let Higgins walk, signed like a Javarius Ward, for example, in the secondary. They could have went on ahead and they could have signed some safety help right in the backfield, some linebackers that were out there as well. Is what it is, but solid team-friendly deal, I suppose. Worst free agency signings, TD?
I mean, it's not the worst free agency signings, but Dan, let me give you a quick quiz. Name one player the Miami Dolphins signed in free agency not named Zach Wilson.
Well, Professor,
do
I'm
it,
sorry
Dan.
I did not study.
You can do it, Dan.
Professor.
That proves my point, bro. The
Um,
worst free agency signings is the Miami Dolphins. They signed nobody.
His name was Hingle McCringleberry. I'm pretty sure they
Nobody
signed
can
him.
name a single person the Dolphins signed besides Zach Wilson,
Oh,
man. They're
man.
screwed, bro.
That's cap. That's pure cap.
I think
We
Zach
signed
Wilson is
We signed
Only notable
James
name.
Daniels, who is a great guard. Okay, we
James.
signed from Tennessee Nick Westbrook-Akeem, if I pronounce it correct. Y'all know who Ashton Davis is.
Yeah.
Ife Melifonwu, y'all know who that is.
He's making up names,
Um,
basically, Dan.
No, these are the players that we listen, Richie. Richie. You want to play this game, Richie? The Jets ain't do nothing. Like, why aren't you focused on
There's
the
a
Jets?
big difference between the Dolphins and the Jets. We're entering a new era where we're not going all in to try to win, where your
that's
regime
an excuse.
needs to win this year. That's the big difference. We're not in a rush to win like you are.
That's
the
an
big
excuse.
difference. That's no
An excuse. Y'all
All I
trying
heard
to
from
win.
you is that Chris Greer is going to do everything and make splash moves and do all these things. He do nothing, bro. His big move is Zach Wilson. Come on, bro. You even know what I'm talking about. This is nothing to do with the Jets.
Richie,
the Jets don't need to make big
all
splash.
haters, bro. You are the Dolphin hater of all Dolphin haters, man.
Tell me I'm wrong, bro. I got Dan on the spot because I knew for a fact he could not name one soul because nobody in the NFL can name a soul.
There has been the owner basically put his foot down. Otherwise, Chris Greer would have done plenty. The owner put his foot down. It is what it is. He said, no, I'm not cutting any more checks. Go ahead with the cap you have and make the moves you need to make. I'm done with it. So it is what it is. That's where we are.
Damn.
All right, then let's get into some more positive energy before we wrap up the show because the best free agency signings.
Oh, he snuck Sam Darnold in there.
Nah, man, I didn't put it.
He is not a best free agency signing.
He's best quarterback available.
No,
so I think that I kind of want to give.
All right, fine. Justin Fields was.
So I think I kind of want to give some flowers right to a specific organization that was mentioned by Richie as a potential division winner, and that's the Seattle Seahawks, right? Yesterday, so the more and more that I looked at the Seattle Seahawks moves, at first it looked very similar to what the Buffalo Bills offseason looked like last year, where they walked away from two solid wide receivers. All right, a lot of changes occurred, and many people thought that they were going to be retooling / rebuilding, but the more and more I look at it, I actually have a lot of respect for what Seattle did because I think it's very clear, and this is all based off of former press conferences from the head coach as well, where he kind of wanted to step away from that air raid attack, and he wanted to sort of scale the game back and play a bit more complementary football. And I'm looking at what this team provides right now. Yes, there's no DK. Yes, there's no Tyler Lockett anymore, which, by the way, I'm still surprised Tyler Lockett hasn't signed a contract with the team yet. But that is also something to consider.
Patriots, watch out.
Have Cooper Kupp. Can he stay healthy? Who knows, right? But I still love their running back room in Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. So you have that, right? And then you also ended up adding have JSN. So really all you need is one more X receiver off to the outside. There's plenty to choose from in the NFL draft. Have a lot of potential defensive moves that you can make. And as long as you invest in the offensive line, Sam Darnold should be able to find one of those two wide receivers open. I think Seattle had a sneaky good free agency and a sneaky good first move into the second year of the Mike McDonald franchise. So yes, I actually would give a lot of flowers over to Seattle for this move.
I agree, bro. See what I'm talking about? Watch out.
I'm gonna go with the New England Patriots, who Richie keep hating on.
They had a
phenomenal free agency.
Give anybody that amount of money, and you say the same thing.
Well, yeah, but hey, they at least spent it, and I like the moves they made spending it. They made good moves, though.
Milton deserves that contract, you think?
Richie, yes, he does.
Overpay.
Yes, he does. And we're going to find out this year when he beat the Jets. We'll find out this year.
That means nothing to me.
Yeah, because you know you're going to lose this year, huh?
But the reason why I don't think, I'm sorry if I'm wrong here, if I'm the minority, exactly what I was about to say, what AJ said in the chat. They overpaid every single person they brought in. Like, why? So that's why they got the players, because they had money.
So hold on.
They overpaid literally every single contract.
And that's why they're free agent. That's why they're free agent winners. They did what they needed to do to bring in talent. It would have been better if they said, well, we're not going to overpay you and then miss out on everybody because they're not a premier destination. You can't penalize them for spending the money that it took to get the job done. I mean, there's so many teams stick by their principles. I'm not overpaying you. Well,
What
you don't
team in
get
the
the
NFL
talent.
has overpaid free agents like that and succeeded?
Well, many don't. Many don't, though.
Yeah, because it's a recipe of failure. That's why they don't.
No, I disagree. We're going to find out this year, Richie. We'll find out. I like what the Patriots did, and I feel like they're no longer the worst team in the division.
They still are,
And
until
that's what
proven
their goal
otherwise.
was.
They're basement dwellers the last 2 years in a row. And that is recent history. And in this
That's
moment.
the
basement
Jets.
back-to-back years for the New England Patriots.
That's
and whatever
the
happens
Jets.
this year, if the Jets are in the basement next year, then we're in the basement next year. That's the fact.
That's
Facts
the
are facts.
And remember back in the day when we all collectively just hated the New England Patriots?
Yeah, like, I don't know this little infatuation you two have with this team. I mean, like, I don't have infatuation with none of you three teams. How about that?
I'm just
Yeah.
giving them props. Giving them props.
Yeah, I mean,
Richie's not.
if Carolina had $150 million and did the same thing, the Panthers did a good job. Like, come on. They had $130 million, of course.
The Panthers have been doing pretty damn solid. I got to tell you, Richie,
I
all
agree.
right, man. So what team has impressed you the most in free agency?
I mean, Miami, again, you can't really think of anybody. I mean, Zach Wilson, I don't know. I think some teams out there that definitely, I think, had a great free agency is the Washington Commanders. I really love their moves.
Yep.
I think, but they did more in the trade market, which is really creative. They went out there and traded for Laramie Tunsil. They traded for Deebo Samuel. They added some pieces, veterans that are going to help fine-tune that team. I really like what Washington's doing this year in free agency for sure. And I actually, think the Buffalo Bills had a decent free agency. They had to make a splash, and they did with Joey Bosa. And they re-signed a lot of their own pieces. And they added a weapon in Palmer that I actually wanted the Jets to bring in at wide receiver. So, I mean, I got to give props to where it's due. A team that deserves props because they're not overpaying people, because people want to go to Buffalo because they're a successful team. When you're a trash organization, you got to overpay people to come here. Trust me, I'm a Jets fan. I had to live through that my entire life. We have to pay a thing called a Jets tax. That's why we had to overpay for a guy like Le'Veon Bell to come here. How did that work? The guy's on OnlyFans now. What are you doing, Le'Veon Bell? Like, what? Like, get off Twitter, get off everything. So this guy's weird. And Trumaine Johnson, another guy the Jets got, overpay. So I'm just bringing up points here. So
He's on OnlyFans now.
yeah, like what?
Richie has Le'Veon. Richie has his OnlyFans.
Oh my God! What?
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
totally.
How you know this man on OnlyFans, Rich?
Because it's like a thing that everyone makes fun of him for on X. You kidding me?
Oh wow!
So
Boy, that's why you can't be a Jet. The Jets will bring out the. Oh man, Richie, y'all ruin everybody.
I know, man. It's crazy. So that's my point. Don't overpay in free agency. It does not work out. So my team is the Washington Commanders.
I like that one though. Commanders did do their thing.
Yeah, Washington Commanders, and don't sleep on the Chicago Bears either.
Yeah, that's another team.
Chicago Bears had a hell of a free agency period as well. I'm not ready to say that they're going to win the NFC North, but let's see what Ben Johnson can do. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of your favorite midday NFL show on the internet. That just so happens to be Roundtable Sports Fourth and Forever. Richie, what would you like to say to the audience before we send them off on this beautiful Friday afternoon?
Roundtable Sports, fourth and forever. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode here on Roundtable Sports. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your weekend. We love you guys, and we appreciate all the support, all the consistent support. We'll see you Monday.
And so what you got, TD?
Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We appreciate everybody. We love everybody. Listen, man, Monday we're gonna be right back at it. Hopefully, we have some Aaron Rodgers news by then. We shall see.
We should.
But it's gonna be interesting, man. Listen, I'm still not holding out hope that's another team maybe getting Aaron Rodgers, but we'll see.
Folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on Monday. Same time, same place. Deuces.
Thanks.